Good, very early morning from Budapest, the vibrant capital of Hungary. Well, I like to travel, as you guys probably know if you've watched my first video or follow me on social media. I like to go in search of a piece of history that most people would walk past, such as that, the Soviet War Memorial, which commemorates the victory of the Red Army over the fascist regime in Hungary and the Nazis. So today I'm going to be going on a further adventure to go and find what remains of socialist Hungary today. Now, most Warsaw Pact or former Warsaw Pact countries have made enormous efforts to get rid of their communist or socialist past, which I think so far I can say Hungary is exactly the same. But let's go out on the road, go off the beaten path and see if we can find any fragments of a former nation. Join me. It was during the end of the Second World War, towards the end of the Second World War, Hungary was under the power of the fascist Arrow Cross Party. It wasn't until the Soviets came and liberated. How you take that or infer that word is disputed to this day. Whether they liberated Hungary or not is argued, but of course that brought with it the ideals of communism, socialism, new infrastructure, apartment blocks, and monuments like these. This is our old pal Lenin, and this of course just reminds you, or the people at the time, of the new power, the new influence. So I know I said I'd go off the beaten path, and this is going to look like a proper, sort of touristy place, but this is actually somewhere called Memento Park. And of course, during the end of communism, socialism in Eastern Europe, as I was saying, I'll come on to that in a minute. As I was saying, loads of monuments were dismantled, taken down. Some are saved and go into parks like these, so we're going to pop in when it's open and have a look. But that's we've got Marx and Engels there. Marx, obviously the writer of German writer of Das Kapital, the original Communist Manifesto, which was obviously interpreted by chaps like Lenin and Stalin, or part of Stalin over there. Now, I haven't been inside the park yet, but I imagine this is probably one of the most striking pieces. Some of you probably recognise what this is already, but that's, well, obviously it's a massive pair of boots, but that's what was an 8-metre tall statue of Stalin, which stood in Budapest until 1956. There was a Hungarian revolution on the streets, people basically protesting against the new Soviet rule, didn't want to fall under a communist system. And well, the Warsaw Pact countries sent tanks, I think literally thousands of troops in to sort of squash the protest. But as you can see, I think there was some form of success if they managed to pull down an 8-metre tall statue of Stalin and basically leave just that left. Now, I don't think this is the original pedestal, but I've just been around the back and they've also got some other, I don't know if these are meant to be here or planned to put on display, but look at that, some depiction of a socialist woman, again, striding and advancing towards the glorious ideals of communism or /socialism. Casually discarded on the floor. this has got to do, well, has got something to do with the Second World War, because that, oh no, I thought it was a PPSH, which is a legendary Soviet machine gun, but I think they're either, I believe they're Red Army soldiers, or maybe they're some kind of partisan fighters. Oh, hello. Just chilling on the Soviet bas relief. Don't mind me. But yeah, I mean, things like this where it's obviously dedicated to loss of life and the war, I do often think it's a little bit of a shame that they're kind of, there's literally just piling up with rainwater and getting quite filthy and run down. But I suppose for the people of Hungary, it's if you leave these monuments up, they're a symbol of repression. Isn't that right? Yeah. Whoa. Hello, old friend. Seen you many times, but it's rare to see you all. It's rare to see all these outside of, well, Russia, really. Particularly this man here. It's a very significant figure of the Cold War era, or specifically World War II and post-war. That's Lenin as a child, and much more mature looking Lenin. What are you reading there, mate? I mean, there's loads going on here. Again, not sure if this is doesn't look like it's meant to be an exhibit, but just all kind of discarded here. Hello. One adult ticket, please.
There's 1,000. There is a guidebook about the park. If you need it, you can buy it, maybe.
No, thank you.
Please contact.
Thank you.
This is the entrance between the walls and light, and after there is a photo exhibition and film across the street in the left side building. Another exhibition is behind and under the Stalin booth. You can go up to the booth. You can sit in the car for a selfie, and you can call the communist leaders in the phone box.
Thank you. God, I haven't seen stuff like this anywhere. The scale of it. I mean, when I say anywhere, I mean in situ. Now that is the legendary PPSH, Soviet submachine gun, which you'll see on loads of Great Patriotic War / Second World War monuments. Obviously a very well-regarded weapon. Here's an interesting one and kind of classic, really. Classic from the Soviets. This is the Hungarian Soviet Friendship Monument. Soviet soldier on the right, Hungarian worker on the left. Did the Hungarians feel that way? Did they feel friendship? I don't know, depends who you ask, I suppose. In every country, or post-communist country that obviously had that kind of government, there were genuine supporters, but obviously there's the story basically goes that the majority of people perhaps really didn't support that kind of government, and henceforth we end up with places like these where that old style of rule has now completely evaporated, and all of its symbols are consigned to museums, bloody scrap yards, or just completely disregarded. But it's quite cool to see them all in one place, and actually the park looks quite well kept. Better for these to be well kept here than being decaying in public, like you get in some of the post-Warsaw Pact / post-Soviet countries. A lot of public monuments just left to rot, whereas if you put them in a museum, we can take and learn lessons from the past. This looks to be a monument to what I assume are Hungarian communists. during the period sort of 40s, 50s, 60s, it's quite an interesting political landscape across Europe, because we often get told the story that communism and socialism was forced upon these Eastern European countries by the Soviets, but on the ground you did have people native to those countries who were genuinely believing in that system, and they were hardline communists themselves. Absolutely peak Soviet adventurising moment. That is just the classic. That's the classic Lenin pose, isn't it? Very, very cool. I mean, to me it's cool, but obviously because this is a purpose-built, park to get these things away from the city centre, I'm sure it's probably not so cool to the locals, but like I say, we can take lessons from this. We can learn about the history. It was an interesting time. The world was once divided in two, and this was what lied on the other side. I'm not old enough to, well, I wasn't even born, but my parents, maybe your parents, they wouldn't have even been allowed to travel to this side of the world, because I was divided by the Iron Curtain and the Berlin Wall. So places like these just give you an insight as to what daily life might have been like, and just give you an insight into the public artworks that were so massively important to, I suppose, the Soviets and all of those communist systems in Eastern Europe and beyond. Monument to the Hungarian Socialist Republic, once again striding forward, and if they were able to make these monuments in colour, then that banner would no doubt be red. Wonder where this was placed. It's so massive. When you stand underneath this kind of thing, it really does feel like it's almost moving towards you, or moving away in this case. It's really quite powerful, regardless of how you feel about the connotations of that political system. Incredible. Really interesting, yeah. What do you think about the period? No. No good.
No, I think it's okay.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you very much. On second thoughts, I hope she didn't think I was some kind of communist worshipper and come here on like some kind of pilgrimage to go and swear allegiance to the hammer and sickle, But yeah, I'm sure she gets that a lot. People like you and I who are interested in the Cold War, it's no problem, to show interest in the history of communism and its effects on the world. So onwards, we must continue. Right, a little insight as to the next stop on the journey into socialist Hungary. I'm going to a town or city called, to butcher the pronunciation on this, Dunaújváros, once known as Sztálinváros, or Stalin City, which I'm just reading now is basically designed to be a model industrial powerhouse. Thousands of young workers were brought to build steel plants, factories, socialist-style housing blocks. By the mid-50s, it was one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and a showcase of what the new socialist Hungary was meant to look like. That is right up our street. What can we find that's left over? Any form of remnants would be ideal. Quick pit stop though. I'm at Tesco, Hungarian Tesco, which as a Brit feels very bizarre, having just been staring at Lenin statues and the hammer and sickle. And within a half an hour drive, I'm now buying snacks from a British supermarket, which I guess sums up Hungary's journey over the last 30 years. Let's do it. Tesco, let's go. And it's a big Tesco as well. If you know, you know. Trips to big Tesco. Oh. We made it. Dunaújváros, the model socialist Hungarian city, originally named after Joseph Stalin, which I imagine that was the name they quickly quashed during the de-Stalinization period, which the Soviets actually introduced in the 1960s, I believe. Check out the Egyetem. I'm not going to start pronouncing the town name again because it's just going to take forever. We'll be on this video for infinity. But that's a very socialist looking building, isn't it? The star on the top. Looks like it's had a recent refurbishment as well. Good to see these kind of things being taken care of. Fountains are working. Certainly beats Chisinau, where the infamous socialist fountains do not work. Isn't it a lovely day in old Dunaújváros? I think I got it that time. Perfect. Perfect for, I was about to say Soviet adventurising, but we're not Soviet adventurising. We're socialist Hungarian adventurising. 20 degrees, sunny. Perfect weather for having a bit of a walk and talk. And staring at some old concrete blocks, basically. Dunaújváros was basically constructed from more or less nothing. It was an old farming village, but during the socialist period, obviously the communist leaders came in. You've got to get industry going, especially post-war, and Dunaújváros is basically known for its steelworks and heavy industry, which we're hopefully going to go have a look at. And I understand quite a lot of it is now not working. During the late 80s and early 90s, there was a big period of economic stagnation in the Hungarian economy. And obviously in a socialist system, how do you improve efficiency without making people lose their jobs or writing off redundancies? So that was the problem that was faced here. So we will be seeing a lot of decrepit industrial areas, I imagine. But ignore the Western brands and the Western cars, and it could be 1975. Yeah, it's not taken very long already to see why this is the model socialist city. You've got basically row and row of old social housing and prefab panel housing, massively wide streets, and I imagine back in the day possibly some monuments, socialist artworks, that kind of thing. Keep the workers inspired. If only the walls could talk. Full of ambition and probably full of pride if you came to move here when it was all new. Go and work in the steelworks. When it comes to socialist monuments and things, especially this one, do you think they intended to make it look like this guy is just shitting out fruits or grapes? I mean, typical Soviet style, but that is, I can't get my head around this one. Don't quite know what's going on there. I've got to mention, this isn't a sponsored video. It's going to sound sponsored, and it's going to be hard for me to not make it sound sponsored. I've been in touch with a page on Instagram recently called the Atlas Sovieticus. What they do is basically document and discover Soviet mosaics, public socialist artwork, not just in the former Soviet Union, but all across Europe, places like Hungary. So what I've agreed to do is go and find a mosaic or a piece of socialist artwork to add to the atlas, because that's a good idea, isn't it? We can walk around and add as we go. The reason I'm talking to you about this is because I think the work they do is very valuable in terms of preserving and sort of promoting this side of history and enabling people to find it easily on a map and go and see it for themselves. So that's what I'm going to do. Make a useful contribution to the atlas and show you how it all works. So let's go. Right, bloody hell! I think we've done it already. I think the Atlas Sovieticus owe me a paycheck. Look at that, pretty cool. This place is all so untouched. This is the first mosaic I've seen, but yeah, very cool. And look at that over there. There's a bas relief on that Shinhaj, whatever that is. House of Culture or something. Yeah, pretty cool. And doesn't feature any sort of communist or socialist symbolism, which is probably no doubt why it's still up to this day. I've topped it already. Literally round the corner. Some kind of, well, it's obviously a mosaic, basically showing the rise of industry, maybe, like heavy industry, going from like, I don't know, farming to steelworks, metallurgy, I suppose is the word, construction, perhaps construction of Dunaújváros, and more up there, totally untouched. This is like a bloody socialist time warp. That is going on the Atlas. Insert clip now of how to add to the Atlas Sovieticus. Right, quick interlude. Very useful and easy to use tool. Go to the atlassovieticus.com and scroll to the interactive map. Find the add location button, which will present you with this screen. Add as much information on the artwork as you can. I had help from ChatGPT. Find the coordinates, which you can do on Google Maps. Easy copy and paste. Pop in a photo of the location, because that will then show on the map for other users. Pop in any copyrights or credits. I've just used my social media handle. Click submit, and then that will then be reviewed by one of the moderators to go on the map and into the Atlas. There's even, I don't know if you can see it, there is a red star at the top of that window frame. But yeah, amazing pieces of public art. Obviously designed to inspire and capture the thoughts of that time, really. Really incredible. I didn't really expect to see anything like this in Hungary, to be honest. Kind of thought all of this sort of thing would be gone, but this town is an absolute gold mine, apparently. Let's check out the old Színház. So it looks like Színház actually translates to theatre. So lovely little local theatre with all the classic tellings of socialist architecture, really. Massive columns, a bas relief, like showing like Hungarian folk people, and maybe some soldiers. There's a date up there, it says 1953. So yeah, it's all very Stalinist, as the city was named, Stalin City. By name and by nature. Interesting. History. No English. No English. No. Okay. You okay? Bye bye. Okay. Well, that was a Dunaújvárosian. Obviously not a word of English. You probably thought, who's this strange English bloke wandering around with a camera in my town, outside my socialist mosaic? His father probably built that. Probably thought I was taking the mick. No. He didn't understand the word history, so, or anything else I was saying, so I was trying to get some message across, but it clearly wasn't working. But that's okay. We can enjoy it. Really quaint. It's very quiet here. I don't know where all the people are. Maybe, I don't know, maybe for the size of the city it's a small population, but yeah. Would you come and visit Dunaújváros, if you can say it properly and put it in your maps? I'd recommend it. If you're a Soviet adventurizer or socialist Hungarian adventurizer. And I'm literally just staring at another bas relief on another building, which I think might be a school, but it's a Sunday, so I am going to go and show you it. Look at this. It really is the little socialist paradise that it claims to be. I don't want to go too close because it is a school, but yeah, look at that. Teacher giving the pupils the books. Dancing, reading, learning. And there's another one down there as well. I imagine it's probably the same, but if you're into any of this, come here, because I've walked about, what, a kilometre, and everything I've just shown you I've seen within, 1 square kilometre. Really properly untouched. Oh no, it's different now. Oh, I see. So that on the left was like all the girls, and then this is the boys. Look, what is that like? I can't tell what's going on there. Boxing, playing with aeroplanes, and then being taught how to be good socialist citizens, probably. Look at that. Unbelievable. It's not all been taken down. Maybe I should come in with a more positive mindset next time, for wherever the next destination is, because I was not expecting this at all. Check it out, the larder let me go past. That's what you call socialism. Obviously on one of the main streets, which is extremely reminiscent of any communist or socialist constructed town. You can really see why it's called, or was called, Sztálinváros, Stalin City. It's absolute model socialism. Yeah, I'm lost for words, guys. Wasn't expecting it at all. What is going on? Random town in Hungary with all this to offer. God, an absolute adventurising heaven. Right, I'm back near the fountain, which means I'm near the car. And I am going to go to one spot, which I'd purposefully popped in to make sure I go and visit. Again, I think it's like a mural. So rather than it being a mosaic, it's a painting. Again, to do with the steel works and the metallurgical, is that even a word? Industry here. So let's go and find it. I'll be cheating using Google Maps and sat-nav this time, and no stumbling into anything organically. But well worth it as I've made the trip down. Right, you join me outside Dunaújváros, which translates to the Danube Ironworks. Now, the mural that you can see up there, or the fresco, is entitled The Worker and Peasant Alliance, I believe. Basically depicts relationship between urban industrial workers and the countryside farming industry, to show the joint connection between the two, which is obviously a very socialist theme or communist theme. Absolutely stunning and massive. Hello. Somebody in there. The plant is still in operation. It's been open since 1954. I think it's the country's largest ironworks or largest metallurgical plant. I've been saying steelworks, but it is actually an ironworks. So yeah, heavily industrialised town, which no doubt would have been a good thing for the workers at the time. And as I was saying earlier, I think if you lived here when it was all brand new, you'd probably be one of the lucky ones, to be honest, because you've got, well, housing, infrastructure, all brand new, and provided to you by the state. Obviously now you might look at this and think it's very run down and old, but at the time I think it would have been a great privilege to have lived and worked here. Just gone down a side road and there's all these like lockups. I wonder if they were like for the workers or what, but just go on for ages. I've just seen, yeah, there you go, there's one open there. I saw the family getting all their stuff out. So obviously still in use, but yeah, just a little piece of socialist Hungary just left out in the countryside. I'm trying to get closer to the actual steelworks itself to try and have a look. Just got told to turn around by some security, but I'm kind of going down any public road I can. And yeah, look at all these lockups, they just go on for miles. There's, I mean, go all the way up this road. I know how we can get a look. I've seen a low fence or low wall. Let's see if we can go and have a look. I think the railway links to the steel plant here. This is, you know, would have been all brand new infrastructure in the 50s. Yeah, look, here we go. Here's some of the steel works, or ironworks, sorry, and I suppose that's how it's all transported. Let's see if we can get any closer. This sort of reminds me of some of the inroads to Pripyat, the now abandoned ghost city of Chernobyl. I mean, look, they're all still in use, but it's an eerie place. And the design of these lockups, some of it's kind of a little bit more artistic than this, so it looks very, very socialist. That is just the buzzword of my life at the moment. Socialist. Try and say that 3 times fast. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get any closer. The gate closes it off, but I'm sure for good reason. I mean, if this section's abandoned, then they probably don't want people going in and, you know, vandalising and hurting themselves. Or the other side of it is that area is still active, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I think that sums up Dunaújváros pretty well. I would say normally when I come to these sorts of places, you know, you got to come here relatively quickly because it's all changing. But if this has managed to last out so long, with all those little fragments and remnants of the Hungarian socialist era, and they're still here, then maybe it won't change for a long time. I mean, it's kind of woven into the place, all this old infrastructure. So yeah, very, very happy with that. That's a good little stop. We're going to carry on. We're going to move in something a bit more modern, a bit more Soviet related, and a lot more abandoned. Let's go.